Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today. I'll be pretty brief. I'm London Walther, and I serve as a project manager on the Park District side for the Washington Park Framework Plan. We're really happy to be working with the Muse team throughout the duration of this process. We decided to have this virtual walkthrough because we felt it would provide a wonderful opportunity to view the entirety of the park, especially at a time where obviously like today, winter weather is pretty cold and you probably want to be out there around this time.
Yeah. Great.
But yeah, I'm just looking forward to hearing from the PAC members and all the other attendees and hearing what your favorite parts of the park are, your favorite memories, and how you use certain parts of the park and so much more, so we can take all that feedback and somehow, put it into our plan. So, yep, thank you.
Great. Thanks, London.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to give a little bit more context before we get started. So the Chicago Park District has this framework plan process, which really identifies long-range capital improvements for facilities and overall park amenities. The last time Washington Park had a framework plan completed was 2002. And this plan started in 2022 and will continue through 2023. I just put into the chat our project page where you can learn more information and the newsletters for the project that give more detail on our committees, the work that we're doing, and our future outreach. So please sign up for our newsletter. It's a great way to stay in touch about the project. We have some fun trivia and surveys, and I have a couple other project members here. I saw Joy from Rudd Resources. We have Cindy Fish, who's our transportation consultant, and Ryan Wilson, who's on our community committee, and others. So with that, Ms. Butler, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes. Okay. So let me go back to our screen. We're going to be using a couple sets of technology tonight. The first where we're going to see is Google Earth. I'm going to do my best not to give everyone a vertigo, nausea, or whatever as we're scanning through the park. We do also have some specialty drone footage that I'll be sharing towards the end of our presentation. And then lastly, I have some really wonderful historical photos that we're going to share. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Butler, and she's going to take us on our way. Ms. Butler?
Okay. Well, I'm ready.
Great.
The first building on the screen, I'm sure everyone knows, that's the Fieldhouse. Unfortunately, for the past year, the Fieldhouse has been indisposed because someone set it on fire, some naughty person. But any day now, it's going to be open to the community like it's been since 1955. This building was dedicated in 1955, and it was a who's who of the African-American community in that period. The dedication committee was headed by John H. Sinstadt. Now, we all know Mr. Sinstadt from the Defender newspaper. And the hosts were, again, a who's who of the Black community. If we head north down King Drive, that's 5531 South King Drive. So if we head north to Garfield Boulevard, 55th Street, we'll be coming to the Washington Park Arboretum, which is the first tree arboretum in the city of Chicago. And that is from 55th Street north to 51st. Now this is on the bottom portion. That's it right there. I say about at least 20 years ago, every tree in that particular area was identified and had markers, had little bracelets or necklaces until there was a bad storm And almost half of those trees were damaged. But the Arboretum is from 55th to 51st to King Drive. And if we keep now to the right or to the east of that area, there's the Arboretum across from the buildings. But to your east, to the right, that is the Harold Washington Common Ground, which is the largest playing field in the city of Chicago, named after Mayor Harold Washington. What happened, like so many other communities, when the great mayor died, they wanted to name their park for Harold Washington. Well, our park was already named by the first president, George Washington, who happens to be riding on his horse on the 5000 block of King Drive. But no, that couldn't happen. We couldn't change the name. So what we did do, and who was spearheading this, was Ramon Price, who at that time, he was the half brother of Mayor Harold Washington. And he saw to it that that portion of Washington Park, this large playing field, was named after Mayor Harold Washington. And on each four corners, north, south, east, and west, there's a boulder with a saying from the great mayor. And if we head north toward Dyett High School, which you can see in the upper portion of the video, you can see that building and the swimming pool to the left, along with the parking area. There's a tree, well, no, there's a huge boulder, about 4 feet high, 3 feet wide. And what's written on that boulder is this tree was planted, and it's roughly, because I didn't go by there today to verify the date, but I'm pretty certain it's 1879. And it states, this tree was planted by Ulysses S. Grant. And when I first saw that 30 years ago, I was shocked, because to have something that unique in our park was something to be proud of. Now,
Ms. Butler, pardon me,
yes.
where are the boulders exactly?
Okay, now this is Dyett and the swimming pool.
Yep.
The boulders, the smaller boulders for Harold Washington, they're on the north corner, the south corner,
Right.
the east corner, and the west corner. So
Here?
if you walk in the area, you'll see the boulders,
Okay.
but you have to look pretty hard. Now, the big boulder from Ulysses S. Grant, it's across the street from the Armory. So when we get to the Armory, I can show you that.
Okay.
But the boulder for Ulysses S. Grant is just across the street. Well, it's north of the big parking lot adjacent to the Harold Washington Common Ground, which that particular common ground is where we have our baseball, softball, cricket, soccer, frisbee, you name it. That's where everybody plays in the summer. You know, now in the winter, you can't tell, but in the summer, those grounds are packed in the weekend. Now, the portion where we see the stops and the ball fields, the boulder is just about north of that. And if you're in the big parking lot, you could see it going to the east. In fact, when the snow dies, you can see it from the street. I look constantly for it.
This is one, right?
I'm sorry.
This is one.
There it is. There it
There
is.
it is. Okay,
That's the boulder. And it says this tree was planted there. Well, we planted the tree about 10 years ago. It died. But the tree that was planted by Ulysses S. Grant is long gone. But yes, that's the boulder. And it's so big that it'd be hard for anyone to come and take it with them. But I constantly am concerned about that. But yeah, that's the boulder. And across the street is the Armory, the General Richard Jones Armory. And that's to the east
Okay.
of the boulder, to the east of this walkway. Keep going to the east. And that's where we'll see the Armory. Again, another institution that we can be proud of. General Jones was an African-American gentleman. And in this building, you have 2 separate rooms. That's it. Which are dedicated to the history of African-Americans in their participation in the United States War. I know we have information from for the Civil War. We might have something for the Revolutionary War, because we know Black folks did participate in every war the United States has been in. But that particular building, there was a time that all you had to do was to go up to the front door, open it, and tour the area. Well, last time I was over there, it was hard as heck to get in. In fact, I didn't get in until they had an event that they wanted me to come. And they had all their guns, their military equipment in there. And that is the purpose of an armory. Well, soon, they would like to do some expansion. Yeah, that's it, that big building, that big roof is the Armory. That again, one of these days when the United States is at its peaceful period again, you'll be able to go into the Armory. And I'm hoping that, because they used to have events, movies have been made in the Armory. Chirac, you remember that movie? That was made in the Armory. I'm not so proud of the movie, but I'm extremely proud of our Armory. When you look at all the historical work done on top of the building, you know, I love it. When you, Kendi, when you say, what is it that you like about the park? I have to tell you, I like every bit about Washington Park. Now, if we head right now, it looks like we're heading north.
North, yep.
But we need to be going south into the park.
Got it.
To the left. Yeah, that's our Armory. And we do know that certain times it becomes rather crowded. Now it looks like south of the Armory is a chateau. And that used to be the, what was the name of that game? Cricket, it wasn't cricket. It was, I can't think of it now, but that building, the purpose of that building, we're coming to the building, that's the back end of the Armory. There it is, our chalet. The last time it was open to the public, which was about 20 years ago, they were selling hot dogs, hamburgers, things of that nature. It's not that large, but it's beautiful. What is it? Oh gosh, I should have wrote it down. Cricket, it could have been cricket that they played, the whole purpose of that area, because it was sunken at one time. And I guess this particular century, They filled it in and it's ground level now. But the Chalet, for the past few winters, was home to a lot of people homeless, which at that particular time, we really, people go where they can. And
Yeah.
that's where they went, to the Chalet. Now, if we head south, then we'll be heading toward Dabo Museum. Now, you asked where's a boulder? There's a boulder about here in this particular area.
On the east or west side of this, of.
On the west side. On the west side. Everything is on the Harold Washington Common Ground, which is the largest playing field in the city. And that's where the boulders are, on that, in each direction. Now we're coming
Oh, there's one.
south.
Yeah, I'm
me
just
see.
turning around. We're
Oh,
fi-
there's one.
Yep,
There's one. There's one of those boulders. It
How
looked
many
like this
boulders
might be.
total are there in this park?
There's there's 4 directional boulders. Now, further south, as we leave the common ground, there's a planting area or planting. They have flowers, this is that nature. And there's 2 more boulders, one with a great saying from Harold Washington, and the other boulder was a great saying from Frederick Law Olmsted. Harold Washington was known as a lover of the parks. And that's why his half-brother dedicated, along with the area, which includes Harold Washington and Frederick Law Olmsted. That's on the 55th Street side of
Okay,
the common ground to the east. So if we keep going south,
yep,
when you look to the right at 55th, which you shouldn't be because that's a busy, dangerous area, you would see the garden area where we have those 2 large boulders.
okay.
Now, that looks like, oh, yeah, there's 55th Street
Mhm.
going down. I wish it was still like this, but thanks to the city of Chicago, we now have various lane dividers
Yeah,
on the street, which we'll see if it'll be dangerous or not. Now, where are we?
so DuSable's over here. You want me to head that way?
Yeah, let's go to Dusable.
Okay. Let me just get this. Hey.
Okay, that is 55th Street
Mhm.
on our end up here. So Dusable has to be south of there. Oh, that looks like the Sunken Garden,
Yep,
or just south of there. Yeah, there's the larger area.
oops,
Again, Mayor Washington's half-brother, Ramon Price, he was an artist. He was great friends of Dr. Burroughs. And what we do is to consider him the emeritus when it comes to all the great things that are happening at DuSable in that particular area. He has at least 3 of his works, of his artistic endeavors in that particular Sunken Garden area. And if we should see DuSable any minute now.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I think it's to the left,
Yep,
not quite. But coming, oh, I see it back in the back over there.
yep.
Okay, oh, there it is. There it is in the far distance. That's the Sunken Garden. And like I said, there's some great sculptures that Ramon Price did that are still there. He had some others, but there was a theft in the 90s, I believe, that walked away with at least one or two of his artwork. And yes, that's the great Dabo Museum, the first African-American museum, independent museum in the country that we can be proud of. And the woman, Dr. Margaret Burroughs, we definitely must never forget her, because she brought us Dabo Museum, which was a former police station on the South Side. And she is, or she was, the longest,
Oh,
we're coming back.
I was gonna show you guys this other, I was gonna bring up our other drone footage because we have some
Okay.
really great shots. I'm not very good at driving this, so just give me a second. Talk about, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, well, I'll finish about Dr. Burroughs. She's the longest, let me see, commissioner, Chicago Park District commissioner that they've ever had. So all these years that Chicago Park District has been in active, Dr. Burroughs has been the longest commissioner. And if you go to South Shore Culture Center, there's a room dedicated to Dr. Burroughs with a lot of her awards and some of her artwork. You know, right now, you or anyone who has some of Dr. Burroughs' artwork, they're privileged. And she, at the time she was with us, she gave people her artwork, and I have quite a number of her pieces.
Oh, wow.
That I'm willing to share one of these days, not give away, but share.
Okay.
So
what we're looking at here is, so part of our
that
project,
looks, yeah.
I'm gonna just try to get a little bit, sorry for all the bad driving, but this is actually one of the models that the consultant team created to do all of our survey work via drone. So this was has been a really effective way for us to, get great images that the park district will then own, and then also see infrastructure that for a park at this size, it would be really cost prohibitive. So just wanted to kind of use some of this. You can kind of see you have a different level of detail. And this is also how we did our tree survey. We only have one section of it, but I'll come back to this in a minute. But this is, you can link to this model and play with it yourself. If you go to our newsletter, newsletter number 2, there's a link for it. Okay, back to Google Earth, which is what I've been using. Yeah.
To give you a little history of that building, again, it was a former police station for the South Side, and then it became the home of the South Side Park District, and then in the to the east they have stables. So there was a place where horses and cattle, because last century, or I have to say 2 centuries ago now, in the 1800s, they didn't have lawnmowers like they have today. They had sheep. And I think you mentioned, Kendi, that you have some historic photos. I have a few myself, but seeing the sheep graze and the cut down the grass is real interesting. We all can kind of use them now, but the sheep itself won't last because people like lamb. But also in the area, this is where they made milk, from what I understand. Now, further south of that, or headed south in that direction, they have buildings that were built in the 1800s. And there's one particular area behind to your right or to the west around here that we have one of the oldest archery clubs in the country. And that's where they meet. And in the summertime, they bring out, especially on the weekends, they bring out their archery practice, their arrows and things of that nature. And they were formed like in the 1880s. And again, another something that we as lovers of Washington Park can be proud of, the archery group.
I have an archery picture that I'll show in a minute.
Oh, do you? Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Uh,
Now, as you can see, it
It
looks
says it
like
right
we have
here.
some holes in the roof.
oh,
Yeah, that used to be where all the parks on the south side, I'm pretty certain, not all the parks, but some of the parks, that's where they, that was a storage area. But it caught fire one night. One night, I'm at home, and because I don't live far from the park, we saw smoke and we heard fire engines going to the park, and everyone was concerned it wasn't Dabo Museum or the Fieldhouse or the Refactory, but it turned out to be the storage area. And I guess this is something that we, the participants of the framework plan, will have to deal with and put it on paper. Wouldn't you say, Kenzie? Kenzie?
yes, yes,
Sorry.
yeah. No, it's okay.
Uh-huh. Now, we're headed south,
Mhm.
and right to your right
The Fountain of
is
Time.
one of the, well, yeah, but no, first let's look at the gosh, what is his name?
Olm-
No, the round area. Oh, it's
Oh.
beginning with A. Should have wrote it down. Allison Davis
Allison
Garden.
Davis, yeah.
That's it, Allison Davis Garden.
Right.
Now, the garden is named for Senior, Allison Davis Senior, who was the first African-American professor, I think psychology professor at the University of Chicago. So probably about close to 15 years, the family, the Davis family, along with the University of Chicago, put together a fund to create that particular area in honor of Allison Davis. And there it is, that's looking east
Mhm.
down the Midway.
Right.
And the area is the circle of Allison Davis, which means we're standing in front of the great Fountain of Time. As a child, I found out that, or I remember walking with community people. My family used to live at 222 East 50th Street, which was roughly 50th and St. Lawrence. And in the summer, we used to walk from 222 East 50th Street to the Fountain of Time, to the great, beautiful Fountain of Time. And I forgot about it until a few years ago, when I was talking about the Fountain of Time. I realized I've been coming here since I was about 5 years old, and I'm a lot older than that now. So this is another reason why I love Washington Park. Now, about 15 years ago, we, the advisory council, used to have Washington Park Discovery Day. And the last time we had it, there was a cleanup of the Fountain of Time because it was built in the 20s. And what we did, they gave us tours of the inside of the fountain. And most people wouldn't believe that, but yes, there's a door, and that whole area, the larger area, you can go inside. Not that they definitely don't have tours, but we were just fortunate enough. I would invite the schools in walking distance to come over and discover Washington Park. And like I said, the last year, which was roughly about at the most 2005 or 2008 that we did it, we were privileged to go inside of the Fountain of Time. Now, they say that there's 100 figures, but there's only one. There's one particular figure of the artist himself. So trying to find the artist is a little fun, because he's on the back and he's wearing an artist guild with an artist plaque, you know, where they put their paint, and he's holding it with his beret. I'm pretty certain he's wearing a beret, but trying to find the artist
That sounds
is
like a good trivia question. I love that.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Did someone have a question?
Yeah, any questions from Ms. Butler? So much great history.
Hey, Ms. Butler, this is Leanne Foley from Woodlawn. I was wondering about the Fountain of Time. Are there water features at the fountain? Is it activated, or is it a reflecting pool? Just a reflecting pool.
Just a reflecting pool. And I tend to, in the summer when they do have water in it, I tend to shoo people away who want to play in the pool. They want to do some strange things on their skateboards on the side of the fountain. But people come from around the world. We normally would see busloads of folks, visitors to our great city, and they would come to the Fountain of Time, but no, it's strictly a reflecting pool.
So Ms. Butler, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm Desiree Hill Bay from Grand Boulevard.
Mhm.
Is there edible fish in the lagoon?
I wouldn't eat it, but yeah. Well, most of the park district, at least at one time, now, that was probably pre-COVID, they would they would put fish in the lagoon.
It is stocked, Desiree.
Is it stocked?
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
people do fish
But
there, huh?
Yes.
Oh, people definitely fish, but I don't know with the way things are going. And yes, they are stocked, but I haven't seen much of the trucks that bring in fish this past couple of years. But yes, people still fish there all summer and spring and fall.
Pete? And we're a small enough group. You can just come off mute and just ask to jump in. But Pete, go ahead.
When was the natural area constructed? The berms and paths north of the lagoons?
Paths north of the lagoon.
So
Right where
I
the
think
cursor is, to the southeast of the big meadow.
When were they? I really don't have any idea. I would assume that most of the plannings were done, and the park district constantly replant. So I would say there was a planning, I'm sure, at the beginning, which was around 1860s or so, probably post-Civil War. And the park district themselves have been replanting ever since then.
but those are, just to give a different perspective, Pete, those are part of the historic landscape from Olmsted. And I have this really great, oh, I don't know if you can read it. It's Olmsted in Chicago. It's, if I can, I think Open Lands put it out a couple of years ago, but it gives a lot of detail in particular specifically about Olmsted. So I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but.
Yeah, no, I am not a historian. I'm just a lover of the park. But yeah, I think the book is black, right?
It's like a
The
dark
outside
gray.
cover.
Yeah, maybe if I go.
I think I might have one of those copies, but
Olmsted in
yeah,
Chicago. Yeah.
yeah, I have one of those somewhere. But yeah, I'm sure there was, because the lagoon was definitely there during the 1886, is it, the World's Fair?
Yep.
Because don't forget, the purpose of the Midway was to fill it in with water and have boats go from Jackson Park to Washington Park. But as we see, and probably luckily, that wasn't achieved. Now, Binham Island,
Can you
which
see
is,
the slide that I
in-
just put up? Or are you still seeing my Google screen?
No,
no,
we
we're
can see
looking
the
at
new
an old
flyer.
slide and a new slide.
Okay, great. So this is one of the couple of the comparisons, just to show you, you know, what's changed and what hasn't changed, which, you know, for an 80-year span is pretty amazing. But you can see how overgrown Binham Island has become. As a part of our framework plan research, we met with a natural areas team, and there is some opportunities to increase the diversity of the natural areas. And Jackie, I thought you said you had to go, but oops. You know, we know that there's wanting desire to add more restoration. There is a natural areas volunteer team that is led by I believe it's Jackie, and I thought she had to leave at 7, but Jackie, if you want to put a plug in for your volunteer days for 2023, it would be a great time. But maybe Binham Island will be a part of your future work.
Now, it's big and it needs help. Let me give you a little background on Binham Island. Again, as a child, I used to attend day camp at Washington Park, and at least 2 or 3 times a week, we would walk to the island. Now, it looked like the picture that you have there of 1970, but it didn't have an official name. The name wasn't always Binham Island, it was Adventure Playland. And when we officially became the advisory council, and from the historical information, we named it. The advisory council named that island, the Adventure Playland, for Binham Island. And he was the first African-American commissioner for the Chicago Park District. And for some reason, I can't think of his first name. I guess I should have wrote all these things down, but
It's
no,
good
I don't
trivia.
have his.
Ms. Butler, it's good trivia. We'll ask it in one of
Yeah,
our
right,
newsletters.
exactly. But yeah, it was we named it Marshall Binham. That's his name.
Marshall, okay.
And like I said, he was the first African-American commissioner of the Chicago Park District, which in naming Binham Island after him, we were extremely proud of that. And that's another reason why I love the Chicago Park District as a government institution in the city of Chicago. But right now, as you can see, that previous page of all the greenery, it is overpacked. in fact, from what I understand, and the supervisor at Harris Park, he's the one that's in charge of doing various tours. Not so many tours, but they have an exercise, from what I understand, exercise facilities, various points that you can go to do various things on the island. But it needs a whole lot of cleaning up. And yes, that is number 2 for the framework planners.
So Ms. Butler,
Now-
at what point did it stop being Adventureland?
When the park district stopped doing the upkeep,
Mm.
Okay.
because it had what is it? Various things that children could do, a slide. You can
Mhm.
walk up and you can slide down. It was an amphitheater,
I see that.
and right. I think there was one picture that you showed us, historical picture, Kendi,
Yes,
that showed some of the works that was used then. And it had a building. I think the building might still be there, but the slide and the giant, it looks like a little missile, but we knew it wasn't a missile.
Looked like it had water they
But-
can run through.
oh, yeah. This is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. That they definitely had. In fact, when you talk to, yeah, there it is. To the right, you could climb through. It looks like a little missile or whatever you might call it.
It's like a
And then the big circle, it did have the water. The kids could run. And here's the amphitheater in the back, the seating area.
Yes.
Right.
Looked like
You
a
know,
nice
so
facility.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was. Try to find some of your Southsiders over the age of 60 or 70. They might have enjoyed it like I did, I can proudly say. But the best thing that we could have done was naming it after Marshall Binham. And I'm extremely proud of that.
Ms. Butler, can you touch on the renaming efforts of the park? So you mentioned that Mayor Washington's half-brother had wanted to rename the park after Harold Washington. What's
Oh,
the
no.
background there, and what was the opposition?
Okay, he didn't want to name it after Harold Washington, but that's why we got the largest playing field in the city that we named after Harold Washington, because back when Harold passed, they weren't changing names of parks and things like that. And it's rather difficult for us to change the name from George Washington to Harold Washington, because they were both great men. I mean, the first president of the United States to take his name off of a park is almost insulting to the country. So no, that was never a plan. Now, we all know that Harold Washington does have a park across the street from where he lived on 53rd and Lake Park. I think
Goes from
that's the
53rd to
address.
51st.
Oh, Hyde Park Boulevard.
Mhm.
But yeah, that particular park is named after Harold. And I think it might even be one more park named after Harold. But
So there were never any
we've
formal
been-
pushes to rename the park.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
So there were never any formal efforts to rename the park.
Exactly. No, there wasn't. And that's something that we as an advisory council would not do at this time because of the naming of the first president of the country. You know, we can be angry about certain people, but it's kind of hard to be angry about the first president, just like we can't be angry about the first African-American president and what he wants to do.
I know we have a couple more stops, Miss Butler, but it'd be great to hear from a couple others, you know, their favorite places. I also
Sure.
wanted, while people are sharing that, I wanted to just give a couple more slides of some historical photos. So these are, you know, you can see this is looking at the park on the left from 1941 and looking down the midway. And so you can see Binham Island and the lagoons. Does anyone want to have a favorite place or kind of destination within the park? I'm just going to keep going through some of these historical slides just to kind of share, you know, ways that this park has stayed the same and in
The
ways.
refectory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, you know, this is a wonderful, you know, opportunity of just a wonderful building for a part of park.
One of the other reasons why I love the Chicago Park District is that that building, in fact, you could see it, that it was falling apart. The refectory was falling apart, and me and others, we marched on the Park District because they put up a fence around the building. And so I would constantly ask for funding. And finally, a state senator came up with $1 million or more, probably 5 million. And I convinced him that we needed it for the refectory. And for 5 or more years, we made sure the Park District didn't spend the money somewhere else. And eventually they put the money into the refectory, and that's how the refectory was renovated. And I was fortunate enough to pick the 2 fireplaces in the refectory. So I like to brag about that because that's something that doesn't happen to just an everyday person, opportunity to pick fireplaces in an historical building. So again, that's why I do what I do for the Chicago Park District and my park. I love it.
Well,
Someone else?
yeah, other folks have things that they love.
Well, I love the walking track,
Oh,
except after raining. There's a whole bunch of puddles, but it's a 3.2 miles around. So it's really a good walking track.
Well, guess what? It's not really a walking track. Guess what it is? A
What is it?
horse track.
the bridal
It's
path.
for horses, a bridle path. Exactly. That's the bridle path. And that was put in by, identified by Frederick Longstead. And the last Saturday of July, the horses take over the bridle path. Now, they don't pick up after themselves, but yes, horses get you can come to the park and see horses walking around the bridle path, the park. In fact, the south side used to be full of horses being used.
Yes, the research that we found, there was a jockey club in the 40s in Washington Park. And then they would go out
I'm
to
not,
in Homewood.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're
yeah,
trying.
there was a racetrack
Yeah.
close to it, to the park. It wasn't in the park, but it was next to the park. It was around 63rd and King Drive. And I think it was called Washington Park Racetrack.
Yeah, we're trying to go through all there's so much history. I'm going to put the link to the Chicago Park District's historical photos hosted by the Chicago Public Library. But if you're a history buff and you love parks, it is an amazing collection. So we've gotten some of these from there. So this boathouse is this was in the 40s, and we have all of the architectural plans for this boathouse. And it's,
I know there's a, go on, I'm sorry.
oh, it was just, it's one of the things that we've been thinking about in this plan. Cause you know, folks love to get on the water. We know of other parks with boats. The swan boats were one thing that we've put in our early engagement map. And so I don't know if that's of interest.
There is,
Yeah.
now there is a frame where the old boathouse was. And it's still in the park. If we left the Fountain of Time and start headed north, about the middle of that area, around 57th Street, there's still an area where the old boathouse used to land. And that's really in the area where it's up here, where there's a circle that you can drive around. You head down Russell Drive, and there's like a circle area, and cars today park all around. But that's where the boathouse was, to the east of that. And like I said, there's a frame right now
I see this.
that you can show the, okay, it's now in this area, it's further
It's not here.
south
Oops.
and to the west.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
Yeah,
We have one more
we're
minute,
looking east.
so I want to be
Uh-oh,
respectful of
sorry.
everyone's time.
I was gonna say, I would definitely
Time.
love to see swan boats or some type of recreation at the lagoons.
Yeah,
It
what,
would be awesome.
Well, it's all about, for any governmental institution, insurance. So it's all about finding a vendor, an insured vendor, that is, because we don't have boats just don't pop up in the lagoon. But there was a period before COVID that there was a company and people use, it was a paddle boats. That's
Oh,
what they
yeah.
were using.
well,
Oh, yeah, I was just, uh-oh. Time's up when you're having a good time, huh?
they are. Ms. Butler, thank you so much for giving us your time and all of your, just all of your wonderful knowledge and experiences in the park. I truly appreciate it. I'm sure others do too. I just put some links, the same links I've been sharing, to our newsletter and to join our newsletter list, our project page, which is where we put our survey. We're just changing our survey questions every month. And then that last link is where that Chicago Public Library hosts all of the historic images from the Chicago Park District. Any last thoughts before we say goodbye, Ms. Butler?
Can we have
You can
information to
also-
contact the advisory council?
Sure.
Yes, we meet the third Wednesday, and we've been meeting since 1992, the third Wednesday of the month, except for December, at 6:30. Right now, we're at the Refactory, but one of these days we'll be back in the Fieldhouse.
So are you meeting in
So-
January? Or no, you're
Oh,
you're
yeah,
meeting
February.
Sorry, February.
Yeah, the third Wednesday at 6:30. Right now, I have to say the Refactory, if we're in the Fieldhouse, you'll know it. So
Okay.
you're welcome to come.
Yes. We will also post the upcoming PAC meetings in the newsletter too. So thanks, Desiree. That's a great reminder to us.